Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker. We're so glad that you're choosing us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud. All right, let's get straight to it. I'm really excited about tonight's episode. These episodes are actually aired on Tuesday and dropped, but happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend, and shout out to you guys for holding everything down. We need fathers, and fathers that are present in their children's lives are really important. So happy Father's Day. I hope all the fathers that are listening on the Bills Mafia Podcast Network, along with Nickel City Crew, you guys enjoyed your day on Sunday. Really excited about today's episode. The actual inspiration came this morning. I was scrolling through as I got to work emails, and I saw something come up on my email feed from, I think it was Store 716 or something like that, one of those t-shirt stores, and it showed up with a promo for Mission LVII, Mission 57. And it's funny when I saw it, and it's a cool little t-shirt, and it's got the schedule on it, and it looks like, obviously like a tour t-shirt, and it was cool to look at, but it kind of made me think and reflect a little bit on where we stand as Buffalo Bills fans right now. It's really important for us to embrace it. I think I've talked about it before on a few episodes that this is new territory for us. The Bills are the betting favorites to represent the AFC in Super Bowl 57. They're also, I think, still the favorites to win it. I've talked many times about embracing this new world. We're not used to this, Bills fans, and it's okay. I understand this. Since the 90s, we have not had this. The drought beat us up. The drought was really tough to go through, and part of the reason that it was tough to go through is that you rarely had optimism heading into a season where you were hoping for anything other than to stay into, what they called in the hunt, right? Remember that graphic they would put up right around Halloween and after? And we would always be worried about being in the hunt. Never really worried about winning the division. Obviously, New England ran that. Never really worried about making major damage or anything like that. We were just trying to get a ticket into the tournament. We don't know what it's like to be the New England Patriots fans back then. Obviously, they dominated us. That's enough said. We don't even need to talk about them. But even Indianapolis, I thought about it today. We don't even know what it's like to be Colts fans back in the day. They went from Peyton Manning, all that sustained success. They got themselves a Super Bowl. And then, what was it? One bad year? And they luck into literally Andrew Luck. Now, he retired, but they still had a quarterback, and they had no downtime, really. It was 1 year, a bad year, and then that was it. They were right back on top, sustained success, playoff appearances. So we don't even know what it's like to be Pittsburgh, to be honest. Pittsburgh, sustained success. Baltimore, sustained success. They're in the playoffs almost every year. Mike Tomlin, never a losing record. Harbaugh's a hell of a coach. So it's interesting when you look at the world that we're living in. We really are honestly living in a world as Bills fans that we have not lived in since the 90s. Again, you know my story by now. I was 5, 6, 7, 8 for the Super Bowl run, so I barely remember. I cried for Super Bowl 25. I know that. I cried for Super Bowl 26, and I definitely cried for 27. So I don't know really what this is like as an adult. And I know a lot of Bills fans that are listening to this in the Mafia, along with the crew, you guys don't know what this is like either. So part of living in this new space that we're living in and being comfortable living as, hey, we're the top dogs, we're the hunted, not the hunter. Part of that is actually looking more at your opposition. So that's really where the inspiration for tonight's show came from, was the fact that what is really going to be able to trip us up as Bills fans? Who are the real threats this year in the AFC? Who could stop us from realizing that goal of Mission 57? I started to think about the quickest way punching a ticket into the tournament, as we all know, is representing your division as the division champ. You will be awarded a home game for completing that task and that feat. And it's something that definitely matters. The Bills now, as we know, back-to-back AFC East champions. Boy, that is really fun to say. And it's really cool to say. Now, when we start looking around at the division, there's a couple places that we have to go to first before we even get to the last team in the division, which by many standards, a lot of teams would a lot of people, would feel the Jets are probably coming up the rear. New England, last year, we remember perfection in the park. I talked about it ad nauseum. The best night of my entire life as a Buffalo Bills fan. However, as we move forward, New England, what kind of threat do they pose to the Buffalo Bills? If we really think about it. I started to look at their team. I started to look at their roster. I started to look at their free agent acquisitions or lack thereof, as we've all joked and poked fun at Bill Belichick up there, the GM, who is horrible at that particular job. And we all know that, and that's fine to say. He's proved it. But I started to look at the roster and the way it's constructed, and I'll be honest with you, crew. I think that Mac Jones, this is it. He doesn't scare me at all. I think we have reached the finished product of him. Perfection in the park started off okay for the Patriots. I talked about it in that episode about how the fact that I put my head down when he made that pass to the corner. Definitely thought that it was a touchdown. Put my head down, and then I heard the crowd screaming, and I looked up, and Hyde had caught it with one of the greatest defensive plays in Buffalo Bills defensive history. So the game actually started out pretty well for Mac Jones. But his season and that game kind of was a microcosm of each other. He's okay. He's not going to kill you. He's not going to wow you athletically. He's not going to wow you with arm talent. He's not going to do anything off the charts. He's going to be steady, consistent, but he's not a difference maker to me. I think what you saw last year with the Patriots and Mac Jones at the helm, that's it. That's pretty much the ceiling. Now, they can obviously get more weapons. They can do different things around him. But again, we just poked fun at Belichick. They're not really good at that part of it. They haven't been. That's part of the reason Brady wanted to leave. He wanted to leave because they weren't doing a great job of bringing in talent. So it'll be interesting to see if they're a threat. But at this point in time in the division, specifically, I don't think New England can contend with the Bills. We'll see. We play them twice. They'll both be big matchups. We know that we'll be amped up for them. As always, it's New England. Now, moving on to the second team and the second biggest threat I would see in the division, and maybe they could move to the number one threat, would be the Miami Dolphins, obviously. Now, when I look at Miami, I kind of just shake my head, to be honest. The reason is there's a lot of bravado coming out of South Beach. There's a lot of swag, and I guess that's fitting to the brand. But goodness gracious, they are feeling themselves down there. I mean, they've got Tyreek Hill and the Cheetahs talking junk about Patrick Mahomes and promoting his new podcast, and I get it. I guess that's a part of promotion, and he says some wild stuff to get some likes and some listeners and some subscribers. I understand how it all works with the entertainment, but him pumping the gas into Tua, I mean, it made me feel like I was pumping up my gas tank at BP. Like, what's going on? Tua's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes? Really? So none of us really believe that. We understand that it's a part of the game and it's a part of instilling confidence into your quarterback. So I understand what's going on down there with that. But I don't know. Josh Allen has owned the Miami Dolphins. If you look back at the history, since he's become the Bills' starting quarterback, he's owned Miami. Now, I understand past performances don't predict future results, and I get that. They've got a new coach. They've got a new scheme. Everything's changing. They're probably going to look a lot like the 49ers. Just be prepared for that, Bills fans. If you're worried about the run game or something like that, you're going to be tested. That defensive line will be tested. They're going to run the ball. This is a Shanahan disciple. He likes to run the football. They're going to be heavy run game. Probably short, intermediate throws for Tua. Stuff to make him feel comfortable. All those types of things they're going to try to do to accentuate his talents and to hide his deficiencies, for sure. Manage him. Make him avoid mistakes as much as possible. Don't want him losing the game for you. But I'm not scared of the Dolphins, if I'm being honest. I'm not scared of them. I understand that they have an influx of talent. But the Buffalo Bills are the class of this division, in my opinion. And I don't think the draft or free agency changed that. I actually think it helped it helped bring out some of the better things for the Bills. I mean, we got Von Miller. So, I mean, I'm in a situation where I'm very confident about this division. I'm not trying to write it off. I understand that you can't count, your eggs before they hatch, and I get that. Or your chickens right before they hatch. What's the saying? Whatever the saying is, I understand that you can't count it until it comes in, and I understand that. But I'm very confident about the division, and coming up the rear is a team that I'm actually most interested in, the Jets. I'm watching them, and I'm just going to stay quiet on the Jets. I'll be honest with you. I understand that they're the Jets. I understand that they've always been the Jets. They've always been horrible. They've always been poorly ran. Joe Douglas seems like he's got his head on straight. If Robert Saleh is a good coach and he's competent, I don't know. They're worth keeping an eye on, Bills fans. Just keep that in the back of your mind. I don't think that they're going to contend this year. I don't even think they'll be a 6-win team or a 7-win team. But I think they'll be more competitive. I think there'll be closer games. You won't have blowouts against the Jets as much. And obviously it all comes down to their quarterback, but we know that. But their draft picks look good on paper. Everything we talk about here, obviously on these types of shows, is on paper. We understand that nothing is won on paper. Sean McDermott just reminded everyone of that recently at minicamp. We understand that. Nothing is won on paper, or lost on paper for that matter. It goes both ways. But the Jets, to me, are a team that I'll be watching, and I'll kind of just stay quiet on. They have a couple upsets, beat some teams throughout the year that they're not supposed to beat. I won't be the one that says, man, I never saw that coming, because I kind of do see them lurking. Not now in 2022, but in the future. I think that they're on the right track of doing the things the right way. So it'll be interesting to watch, if nothing else. So who are the big threats then in the AFC after we leave the division? I like to start in the AFC South. Probably the weakest division in the conference. I think we'd all agree on that. Are the Titans still the class of that conference? That division? I don't know. Ryan Tannehill does not excite me. I know he's coming up to the end of his contract. I don't know if they're going to re-up with him in the future. And I think this is kind of a prove-it year for him in a certain way. I know he got the big contract extension, but I think it's getting ready to run out. And they obviously drafted a quarterback, and obviously he was a little bit frosty to that idea, and then he backtracked, which I guess leaders are supposed to do. So that's fine. But we'll see the Titans, and I understand that they've got a good defense, and we'll see. A.J. Brown leaving that team cannot make them better. You will not be able to convince me of that. And that's just me personally. When you lose a big-time weapon, I don't know how you're going to be better unless you supplement in a trade and you've got a lot of different pieces coming back. Same thing goes for the Chiefs. I don't know how the Chiefs offensively are the same. Now, they may not drop off a lot. They may not have a dramatic drop-off. But to say that the Chiefs will be better, I don't know. So stick it to the AFC South. The Titans, it'll be interesting to watch. A.J. Brown is gone, so we'll see what Tannehill can do. Matty Ice, does he have anything left in Indy? We're about to find out. Indy thought they had their guy with Carson Wentz, and they made a mistake and stepped in it. They were very fortunate to get a competent quarterback who has not been horrible as he's aging. He has not been, he hasn't exactly been lighting the league on fire down there in Atlanta. But you can't kick him out the door yet. So we'll see if he has anything left in the tank. Jacksonville, are they making any moves? They've had a lot of pieces. They bring in a Super Bowl winning head coach. We'll see. Houston, are you really rolling with Davis Mills? He's looked okay. Some of his stats look good. Last year, a lot of it in garbage time. Where the team is down, he's playing catch-up. But it doesn't look like they're in any rush. Looks like they're obviously going through a slow rebuild. So out of the AFC South, I don't know who to be scared of, to be honest. It's kind of a mishmash. Indy, I guess I would lead towards Indy, and Tennessee, obviously, as the class of that division. And then they can slug it out. But I don't know. It'll be interesting down there in the AFC South. I'm not sure who I would be threatened by. So I won't even call one on that division. The AFC North is really cool. A lot of storylines in the AFC North. Was Cincinnati a fluke? The coach was really close to getting fired, it seemed like. If he didn't have a great year, they caught lightning in a bottle. That's what you do. You maximize your opportunities. It was really disappointing last year for the Bills in 13 seconds. Part of that is not maximizing your opportunity. So, hats off to the Bengals. They maximized. They got to the Super Bowl. They came up short, obviously, but they got there. Regardless of luck or not. You're going to need luck, Bills fans, if you want to buy those T-shirts that they were trying to promote today on my email. Mission 57, you're going to have some luck along the way. It's a part of sports, and it's definitely part of football for sure. Hell, the ball is oblong. It bounces a different way after a fumble. It's not like a basketball. It's going to go down and bounce right back up unless it's tipped. Football can go any direction, so there's luck involved. So we'll see. Cincinnati caught lightning in the bottle. Can they have an encore performance? Well, I'm not really, I don't know. I've already been on the record that I'm not too keen on them following it up. Now, will they let Deshaun Watson play down in Cleveland? What are we looking at? 8 games? 12 games? The entire season? Is Cleveland really going to continue to let Baker Mayfield throw his little temper tantrum and trade him? Don't you kind of need him with the uncertainty of Deshaun and his availability? That's weird to me out there in Cleveland. I'm not sure what they're going to do. It seems to me it would be prudent to keep Baker on the team just in case you're missing Deshaun for 8 or 12 games or whatever the case may be. He's going to go through an appeal process after we already know the song and dance. We went through it with Ben Roethlisberger, so we know how it goes. We'll see what he actually gets when it comes to suspension when they're all done with this whole thing. But if I was Cleveland, I'd keep Baker Mayfield and make him come to work or give back money. You're an employee, you're under contract, go to work. Now, what's up with Baltimore? That is a weird situation, too. Baltimore is weird. What's up with Lamar? They don't want to pay him? Or there's reports that he's not really engaged? Come on. So Lamar doesn't want to get paid? That doesn't make sense. It's because he doesn't have an agent and his mother's helping him out and there's no guidance. Is he making mistakes on the negotiations? I don't know. I would think that you would want Lamar Jackson in a Baltimore Raven uniform for the rest of the time that he's available to play football, period. Is that another decade? 9, 10 years maybe 8 years because of his playing style? I don't know. I would assume you invested in this kid. He's now an MVP. He's now led your team to the playoffs many times. He's got a unique style for sure. And he's electrifying. He puts butts in the seats, as they would say. He sells tickets. He sells merchandise. He's good for business. This is an entertainment business. So I would assume Lamar's getting ready to get paid soon. I don't know what's taking so long. It's really interesting to watch the Ravens and this year and how their offseason continues to unfold as we get ready for training camp. Steelers, looks like they're rebuilding. Their defense is going to keep them in so many games that they're going to be competitive. So it will literally be who's behind center, Trubisky or Pickett, whoever's behind center, how good are they with that offense? Because their defense is going to be so good that they will be in games. They're not going to be a pushover, one of the worst teams in the conference. That's not happening. That's never happened, actually, with Mike Tomlin. So expect them to be competitive, and it'll be based on how good or bad their offense is to how far or how much of a threat they are. So coming out of the AFC North, I see Cleveland, depending on the suspension. That's up in the air. If they keep Baker, maybe they can stay afloat. Cincinnati, obviously, is a threat. We have to hold them legitimately until they prove otherwise. They did represent the conference, so we will show them a little respect until they prove otherwise. And Baltimore can be dangerous. They had a lot of injuries last year, and that is not normal for one team to sustain the amount of injuries, period, that the Ravens sustained last year. That's not normal. It was an anomaly. So you expect them to be healthier. Football is a violent sport. Everybody gets hurt. All teams deal with injuries, but you expect them to be healthier. They'll be competitive. So out of that division, those 3 teams could theoretically be threats to the Bills. Then we shift to the AFC West, which in my opinion is the number one division, the most interesting division to watch in all of football next year. And it's for obvious reasons. It looks like the punch-out division. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of shootouts. You would anticipate. Again, everything we talk about is on paper. All the great offenses, all the great quarterbacks represented. High scoring, back and forth. Russell Wilson's a part of the division now. He's rejuvenated. So happy to get out of Seattle. So happy to be free offensively. I expect Hackett to unleash him. I expect Hackett to, quote unquote, let Russ cook. I do expect that. Kansas City, my thoughts of them are the same. I do not think they will be as potent on offense without Cheetah, period. Will they still be great? Yes. Can they still beat the Bills? Obviously, we have to say yes. Right? 13 seconds or not, we still have to say yes. Until we do it, they are better than us, and I will be fearing them until we do it. It was the same thing with the Patriots. We know how this feels. Until we do it, until we see them do it, there's always going to be that doubt leading into the game. And that's fair. That's nothing to be ashamed of as Bills fans. So embrace it. Kansas City is the big bad boogeyman. We get it. And we'll see what they do this year. Tyreek Hill is gone. They will change offensively. It does not mean that they won't be potent still, but I don't think they will be as potent. They won't put up as many points. It may not take as many points. And obviously they're preaching all the right things coming out of KC, talking about how they'll be spreading the ball around more and everybody's involved. And Andy's offense is multiple and it's no focus on one guy. And they're saying all the right things. Same thing with the Cheetah down in Miami. Everybody's saying the right things. It's the offseason. We're coming into training camp. Everybody wants confidence sky high. We get it. Move to the Raiders, and the Raiders are also interesting. They really are. Reuniting Derek Carr with Devontae Adams, I think, could be a stroke of genius. One of the best receivers in the league. We know the captain here is on that short list too. We all feel that way. But Devontae Adams is one of them as well. Straight up and down. He is one of the best wide receivers in the league. Going to get the football, body contortion, keeping his feet in bounds, route running, vertical threat. He does it all. Just like the captain here. Just like Steph. He does a little bit of everything. And he does it well. So him going back with Derek Carr, if I was a Raiders fan, I'd be feeling confident about it. I don't know what their defense is going to be able to do, but in that division, it might be first to 35 wins or, first to 30 wins or 31 or 34. That might be the kind of division it is, or even higher. So they'll be an interesting team to watch. And then I'm always intrigued by the Chargers. I really am. Every year. Every year I'm saying in the offseason, Derwin James is a bad man. And if he could just stay healthy, everybody would see. And every year he gets hurt. So prayers and, knock on wood for him to stay healthy because he really is a great football player. And that team, offensively, looks great again. And I know everybody wants to anoint Herbert and have him as the next Josh Allen. And some people even have him already above Josh Allen, which I think is crazy. But Herbert is good. He slings it. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams got great weapons. I'll be very interesting to see. The whole division, every week, regardless of if they're playing each other or regardless if they're playing another team, that'll be a division in that 4 o'clock window I'll always be happy to see. Now the Bills are, we're we're one of the top dogs now, so we're not always playing at 1 o'clock. So we may not even be able to catch all the games. But when the Bills play at 1, I'll always be happy to watch that AFC West play. The threats coming out of that division is whoever wins it, to be honest. And it'll probably be a 2-team playoff division, more than likely. So both teams that qualify, if 2 teams qualify out of the West, I'll be scared of both of them. They'll be considered threats to me. Any of them. So if you count them up, 2 teams from the West, I don't consider anyone in the AFC South a threat. And 3 teams in the AFC North, that might be able to cause some trouble. Only one's going to get in the playoffs. Remember that. So that team, if it's Cincinnati, would be a threat I would consider as a division champ. And then I just went through the AFC East. And I don't care about the disrespect to our AFC East foes because we've gone through hell as Bills fans with this drought and Tom Brady's reign with the Patriots. It feels good that we're back-to-back division champs. I think we're still running the division. I feel good about it. I don't have any hesitation about it. Again, we don't do anything on paper. We understand it. That's what all of this is for. It's all fun. Conjecture to talk about it. But if you look around, you bring up your app or whatever you find your NFL schedules on and look at the teams, look at the divisions. Who scares you when you look at the same divisions I'm looking at? Not a lot of teams scare me in this conference. So it'll be fun to watch. This is a new world. I'm embracing it. I'm actually really enjoying it. So please, when you comment, when you post, and we're talking about this show tonight, please give me your thoughts on who is the biggest threat to you in the AFC. Who's the biggest threat to the Bills? Who could trip us up? Who could stop us from our goal of Mission 57, as they say? This could be an historic year. But as we know with 13 seconds, you better maximize your opportunities because it could also turn into a disaster quickly. So I think that the number one seed is of the utmost importance. I think that it's something that we should be shooting for from the beginning of the season. I'm pretty sure that it'll be a stated goal for them. I don't know if they'll talk about it publicly. We know how buttoned up they are, but maybe some of the players will let us behind the curtain, so to speak. They should be shooting for the number one seed, period. Last year, it could have made all of the difference. It really could. And it came down to what? A Jacksonville crappy game, a Josh Allen slip against Tennessee. I mean, switch either one of those games. I mean, you could even flip the home opener. So the season comes down to certain situations and games and moments where it kind of defines the season. And obviously, ahead of the season, we didn't know that 13 seconds was going to mean so much, and we didn't even know we were going to be in that situation. But it's razor thin. It's razor thin. One of those different games during the regular season, we're not even playing Kansas City in Kansas City. The whole bracket would be different because we would have been the number one seed. So it's just always interesting to watch. I cannot wait for this season. I am really fired up. We are wrapping up on season 1 of Nickel City Crew. I have been so humbled, and I'm really just grateful, to be honest with you. I'm so happy for Jay Spencer, the King, helping me out, getting me hooked up with Justice General over at Buffalo Bills Podcast Network, and I really am. I'm excited to be part of the Bills Mafia Podcast Network. I'm excited for the future. I really hope that you guys are engaged and really excited as well, because this is a season that really could truly be historic. It really could be the one. We could be right on the cusp, and we don't know it yet because obviously we can't tell the future, but we could be right on the precipice of our parade. Watching the Warriors win it the other night was really crazy, and 4 titles for Curry, and I'm just looking at the emotion on his face. He was crying, and the way he was reacting was like it was his first. And I just want that for Bills fans. I want us to have a championship. I really do. But along the way, as we found out last year and in the last 2 years, really, to be honest, it's razor thin. The margins are slim. Sean McDermott kicking a bunch of field goals 2 years ago. I don't know if the game would have been different had he not, but I don't know. It could have been. We'll never know now. Same thing with last year. I don't know what would happen if we would have pooch kicked it, or I don't know what would happen if we would have just ran regular defense and just rallied to the football and tackled and forced them to call their timeouts. I don't know what would happen. But I've got an idea. And it sticks in the back of your mind as a Bills fan. It always it just gnaws at you until we get one. So I'm now shifting in this new world of being the favorite into looking at my opposition. Who are my opponents? What can they do to me? Who can trip me up? Who could stop me from our stated goal? And I look around the conference, and I think the Bills are in great shape. Again, I'm on the record. 13-4 is obtainable. 14-3 would be wonderful. But 13-4, I think, is obtainable. I think this is the type of roster that can do it, so I'm excited for it. And as we wrap up on season 1, just again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. I hope you guys all enjoyed your weekend. Please let's remember to spread love, not hate. We will not stop the narrative. I will not stop talking about the Jefferson Avenue Massacre. I will not stop talking to people. Cannot wait for next week's episode so we can continue the conversation and make sure that this does not go to the back burner. The cameras are gone. We get that. We knew that. When the cameras leave, that's when it dies down. It's our responsibility to make sure that this conversation continues. So rest in peace to the victims. Condolences to their families. And we pray for their strength. And the community as well. Let's rebuild the community together. Together we can do it. And our thoughts and prayers are obviously with Kim Pagula. We hope that she is on her way to a speedy recovery to whatever she's going through. And our thoughts and prayers are with her as well here at Nickel City Crew, along with the Buffalo Bills Mafia Podcast Network. I love you guys. Spread love, not hate. And as always, these were my Bills thoughts said out loud.